Welcome to Extension Connection on Super Talk 1270. Thoughtful information and discussion with experts from both Burleigh and Morton County Extension Service offices. Extension Connection provides advice on family nutrition, issues in agriculture, lawn and garden, community leadership, homeowner concerns, and so much more. Live from the Super Talk 1270 studio, this is Extension Connection.
And good morning and welcome to the Extension Connection. This is the Morton County staff today, and this is Vanessa Hoynes, Family Consumer Science Agent, and I'm joined by
Liz Larson, the Parent Resource Coordinator. So it's just the two of us to start.
Yep, to start out with anyway, Carla Mickle, our 4-H youth agent, is going to be jopping in here. She's kind of busy this week with 4-H week going on.
I'm sure we'll hear more about her exciting events for the whole week.
Oh, do you think so?
I'm sure. She's more spunk than I do today, that's for sure. Wearing green and ready to go.
That is right. Yeah, she's wearing her colors proudly, and as we all should be wearing 4-H today.
Yes, exactly.
Snap dab in the middle of 4-H week, so that's always exciting.
Yes.
So I know you have some upcoming classes coming, Liz. Do you want to talk about those a little bit?
I'll touch on a couple of them. So there's a few that are already up and running, which is great. So if you've seen our flyers or any of that kind of stuff, the Nurtured Heart Approach and the Conscious Discipline have both started, and we've got good groups of people. I think each have 12 to 20 attending each night. And
that's awesome.
So it's great. It'd be good to hear how the end of it wraps up for some of those. But then we have more coming up the end of October and into November as well. So there's a couple just one-time classes if you're looking to just maybe try something out. And one of them is called Keeping Your Child Well. So this would be for the parents of the really little ones, infants, toddlers, maybe you're expecting a baby. We'll talk a little bit about, just what you can have in the house and things you can do at home to keep your child healthy, especially going into cold and flu season and all that kind of icky stuff. And then the other one is I'm calling Just a Taste of Support. So we're going to try out kind of a support group atmosphere. I think we just have a lot of parents in the area and parents of young kids, teenagers, whoever it might be. So you can give me a call or go online to register for either of those. Or if you have more questions, you can just call and chat with me about it.
Yeah. And I think the great thing about those parenting classes, and it's great to hear that you have 12 and 20 folks attending, is that not only do they learn from the different skills and tools that are being shared, but also from each other.
Yes, exactly.
'Cause every child is different. Every one tool doesn't work on every project.
Yep. Yeah. Not even every kid in the same family usually.
Exactly. And not even every day. One day it works, the next day not so much.
Yes. Yep. A couple other quick ones we have coming up, the 1, 2, 3 Magic class. So that's kind of talking about some effective discipline with some easy concepts to pick up if you have kids between age 2 and 12. So that'll be a 3-week series in November. And then we also have a couple other Parents Forever classes scheduled, one in November, one in December. We had a good class this last weekend. October 1st was one of them. And we had a good couple parents that were there to just talk about how they take care of their kids and communicate with their kids when they're going through a divorce or a separation, end of a relationship between the parents. And really great discussion. So
yeah, and again, just kind of learning some tips and tricks to make that transition easier for kids and for everybody, really.
Yes, yep, exactly. So that's what we've got coming up still in the fall here.
Okay.
How about you?
Yeah, and I'm right in we're right into Stepping On, which is that falls prevention class I'm doing. And actually, if somebody's really interested, we had our first class last week. That's going to be held on Thursdays. And so if you're interested in that, Thursday afternoons, you can still give me a call at 667-3340 because we can still get you signed up if you're interested. But the other class I really wanted to talk about today is the powerful tools for caregivers. So if you know of a caregiver, anybody who's taking care of somebody, whether it's just going to get them groceries or taking them to doctor's appointments, or maybe it's that whole continuum, anybody in that continuum from that to the 24-hour care 7 days a week kind of care. Lots of good discussion and good tools for those caregivers to be able to take care of themselves, because of course if you're taking care of yourself, you're that much better at caregiving for somebody
Exactly.
else.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of one of those things like when you're on an airplane. You need to put your oxygen mask on first
Yes,
before
yep.
you can help anybody else. And that's really what this is all about. And so if this is something that you might be interested in, or if you think you know of somebody who could be interested or could benefit them, this is going to be held on Tuesday afternoons starting October 25th from 1:30 to 3:30. And it is a 6-week session, a 6-week course.
Okay,
and
great.
so we'd love to have you give us a call at 667-3340 and we'll get you signed up.
Well, and those are great when there's multiple weeks because you can kind of start to use the tools that you're learning and then reflect on them, come back, discuss it, that kind of thing, the week to week.
Yes, and and that's the thing too, is we talk about changing some habits and really having that check-in each week and learning more tools, like you're saying, and then being able to practice them is really, really important.
Yeah.
So those are the programs we have coming up, but what else are you
Yes.
going to talk about today, Liz?
Well, I brought along some information on kind of keys to prevention when we're talking about 7th to 12th grader kids. So I'm looking that we talk a lot about parents of little kids and what kind of strategies they need, but kids are settling into school. Maybe they've got their new friend group for the year, whatever it might be. So what can parents and caregivers do to just be aware of, how do we prevent alcohol use, drug use, other types of behaviors that we want our kids to be safe around. So that, and then I might touch a little bit on winter coats and safety. That I got
yes.
an easy picture handout. Not that you guys can see the pictures, but
But
we'll
I'll tell
talk
you,
about
it's great.
it. Yeah, it's great. How about you, Vanessa?
Well, last time we were on 2 weeks ago, I started kind of a series of things I'm going to be talking about. 5 keys to understanding your health insurance costs, and this is actually a publication that we do have available. So today, the last time we were here, I talked about the first key, which is knowing those terms and definitions. Today, we're going to talk about the second key, which is knowing your network and exactly what that means. And then I thought we should also talk about this impending cooler weather we have coming and give you some
kind
tips.
of arrived today, actually.
Yeah, and giving you some tips about things in your garden that you should be maybe considering doing some things for to protect them. And then also if you have apples, we're going to talk a little bit about apples and how to preserve some of those if you have more than you want and more than you can share.
Yes, what to do.
So I think with that, we are going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back in a few minutes with the Extension Connection.
Currently, it's 42.
Live news headlines and weather together. Weekdays on Super Talk 1270.
And we're back with the Extension Connection. This is the Morton County staff, and we're going to move into, I know you were going to talk about some keys to prevention with high school students,
Yep.
Liz.
Yeah, and even a little bit with middle school. So I'll start. These are great resources from Parents Lead. So you can just Google that if you want, parentslead.org. They have some great other handouts on conversation starters with your teens or preteens even.
And you can even sign up to get like information sent to your email just automatically, and you sign up for the age that your children are.
Yep.
So it's really handy. You don't have to always go out there searching. It just kind of comes to you.
Yes, yeah. So lots of good resources. And it's one of those topics that parents feel like they should talk about, but then where do you start? And it's kind of lots of gray around it, I guess. So a couple things, if we talk about the 7th to 9th graders, so kind of 13 to 15-year-olds, some of the keys to prevention at this age is, of course, modeling healthy behaviors. So being aware of what you do in your own household. When your friends come over, what do those NDSU game parties look like and that kind of thing. Also emphasizing family values, any expectations that you have, and then being really clear about consequences. And, of course, making consequences that you'll actually follow through on, right? So.
Yeah.
And similar to any parenting, but especially with the prevention. Also encouraging participation in healthy activities with positive peers. So I think that's one everyone understands, and we don't, we want kids to have lots of good friends and that kind of thing, but just being aware of who they're hanging out with, where they're going, those kinds of things. Keep them busy, right? If they're busy doing good things, they don't have time for trouble.
That's right. And I think even being having your home be a place that your kids and their friends can come and can be around, because then they're in a healthy place there too.
Exactly.
And again, knowing the friends and knowing the other homes that they're spending time in, and having conversations with those other parents can be a great benefit too.
Be a good network for each other. And then the last key they mention is to provide strong emotional support. So everything from just being there to really have conversations, and somebody that your kids, they know the consequences, but that you're a safe person they can come and talk to. So when you think about, who do you have in your world that influences you? It's the same for those 13 to 15-year-olds and the older kids too. So at this age, they're really looking at their parent or caregiver, even when it doesn't seem like it, right? You do influence them. Other adults in the community, their teachers, their own peers, the older youth that they are looking up to, whether that's at school, if they're on a sports team, other cliques, those kind of are influential for them. Of course, TV, social media, and then pop culture. So those are good influences to keep an eye on, so you know what they're being exposed to and what they're seeing on a regular basis.
And they're, again, having them involved in activities that have adults, healthy adults that are role models, that are a part of it, so that it's not always mom or dad, but that they have kind of a broad variety, whether it's teachers or, of course, 4-H leaders. We got to mention them during 4-H
week. Of course. This is a great
But even involved in things like scouts and having scout masters that are good role models, having them involved in whatever religion your family is involved in, and having them involved at their place of worship with folks there and adults there can be great role models also.
Yeah, it's kind of, you want them to be in those environments. At home, you can maybe control it a little more of what those positive influences are, but you can do the same, putting them in other realms like that, other groups that they're getting the same.
Well, and it's kind of funny. Last night we had parent-teacher conferences.
Oh.
And so it was interesting. We were visiting with one of the teachers, and I commented that, of course, there was something that we were trying to interject to our son, saying how important this was. And so I mentioned it to the teacher to say, when you have a discussion with him, would you also mention this, that this is also something that's important, so to be able to, have another important adult be somebody who's sharing that also. And I think use those other folks within your child's world to help him impress those ideas that you're trying to get across.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's not just about you lecturing, right, quote unquote, lecturing your own kids, but really having those conversations with other adults that they're coming into contact with. So some good tips, set those clear rules, role model the good behavior, spend time with your teen, take an interest in what they're interested in, right? So that you actually get some quality time together. Help build their self-esteem and self-image. We know a lot of times if those are going down a little bit, that's when kids look to other ways to build themselves up or make themselves feel better, or whatever it is to try to fit in, whatever it might be. Assist them in avoiding peer pressure, even talking through what you can say, whether that's using your parents or your sports or something as a reason, I can't partake in this because basketball is too important, or whatever it is, kind of helping them coach through what they can say and how they can respond.
Yeah, and definitely encouraging them to use, like you said, use the parents as the
my mom would never allow me to do this, and
I'd be grounded for life. They said I had to be home.
Yep, exactly.
Whatever it might
use
be.
that as a reason.
Throw your parents under the bus.
Yes, exactly. What a great conversation starter. Here's an opportunity. Throw me under the bus. Discuss drugs and alcohol with your teen. If you don't talk about it, it's not that they're going to avoid it too. So talking about it and expectations, consequences, even just their own health, how they'll feel. Find something that your kids will relate to. If they are in sports, they're not going to want to feel crummy going into a game or whatever it might be. So something they relate to.
Yeah. And even if their only response is, well, of course, Mom, I'm not stupid. That's
Yeah.
good. That's
At least they're understanding.
At least you've said it. At least you've had that conversation, and
Yep,
sometimes that
exactly.
opens the door to the things that they are, seeing in other colleagues or
Yep.
other kids.
Yep, exactly. So those are some tips, and a lot of them really apply to kids of all ages, obviously. And one of the research shows that kids are a lot less likely to use tobacco, alcohol, other drugs, whatever it might be, if their parents have already established those rules, kind of what's expected in their household, and also just general expectations in life. So beyond drugs and alcohol, schoolwork, whatever it might be. So research also lets us know that most kids that end up using alcohol, tobacco, other drugs have at least experimented by the time they're in the 9th grade or exiting 9th grade. So we just want to be aware that they've been exposed. We talk about 7th grade and you think, oh my gosh, no way. But those are the times to start the conversations and all that kind of stuff. So when we look at 10 to 12th graders, so that's 16 to 18-year-olds, a lot of the same influences. It's you, the parent, caregiver, their friends, their siblings, coaches and teachers, maybe other family members, older cousins, aunts and uncles, and then, of course, the TV, movies, social media, all that kind of stuff, right? It's there.
Yeah, it's
you
all
gotta
there.
be aware of it. So a good little quote they give us is, your child's brain is also growing and changing during their teen years. Recent research has helped us understand that a person's brain is not physiologically mature until a person's mid-20s. Alcohol and other drug exposure to a teenage brain may cause loss of memory and interfere with brain development. So it's really a critical time. We know that they're not maybe making the choices or that kind of thing that they will later in their 20s. But this is a time that we want to really key on prevention and not just think of it as, it's something they'll experiment with. It's fate. Those things can really impact them for years and years to come.
That's right. Yeah. So they truly aren't thinking with a full brain.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you have to understand some of that sometimes, that the decisions they make just don't make sense.
Yep, exactly. And we want to make sure that substances don't get in the way of, that brain developing to its full potential.
That's
so that
right.
they do make all the decisions later on.
Hopefully, anyway.
Yes. And hopefully none of the teens we're ragging on them too much here, but, right? They're very good at making their own decisions. So
That's right.
Right. So I've got all that for now. I'll save the car seat and coat stuff for later if we...
Oh,
or should we
go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to cut you off at all.
No, that's fine.
All right. So just a touch, we're talking about it getting colder outside. And so the parents of the little ones that are still in car seats, there's good things to keep in mind. So Safe Kids and all your local hospitals, all that kind of stuff, they have these resources. They probably sent them home from the hospital with you. Dig them out,
Find them again.
Find it online, something like that. So a couple things I'll mention quick before our break here. So if your kids are in those infant carriers, they sell all sorts of stuff, right? The blankets and the things you can put over them, under them, everything. So avoiding any of those car seat liners that go under the child, because it can have kind of that space, whereas we want them as snug to that car seat as possible when you buckle them in. Also avoiding any of those big, bulky jackets that are adorable and the snowsuits and all that kind of stuff. If you're going outside, use them. If you're going in the car seat, avoid them. Because that, again, it's too slippery. Yep. And then the fluff it keeps that gap. So then if you're in an accident, it's not going to be the straps won't be as tight to their body as we need them to be. What to do, because obviously we're in North Dakota, it's freezing. So what do you do? Even for the older kids, strap them in first and then put a jacket on backwards. Or, they can keep their hat and mittens on. That's fine. So you have those on. Maybe they have a fleece to kind of keep some warmth in, but put a blanket around them and then use that when you're hauling them into daycare or whatever it is.
Or having they have some of those cozies that go over the top of
exactly.
of the
if you want to
car seat.
Block the wind, the North Dakota wind, that kind of stuff.
It's windy here?
Yeah. We almost blew our whole papers and everything out of here today. And same for the older kids that are in those harnesses still, even the booster seats. Put it on backwards. I know it's an inconvenience, but that one time you get in an accident or, with the ice, it's more likely. So just being aware of that. So you can check out some more information. I'll post some on Facebook and whatever else the next couple of days. But we are heading for a break here, and when we come back, Vanessa will touch on a few other things.
Sounds good.
Currently, it's 42.
News headlines and weather together. Live on Super Talk 1270.
And we're back with the Extension Connection. This is the Morton County staff. Vanessa Hoynes here with the Family Consumer Science topic areas. And I wanted to talk a little bit about, we mentioned as we were talking about what we were going to talk about today, that we have a new bulletin called 5 Keys to Understanding Your Health Insurance Costs. And so 2 weeks ago, I talked about the first key, which was knowing your health insurance terms and definitions, which I think the publication is worth just getting it for that, if nothing
kidding.
else.
What all of these terms mean.
Yes, and just kind of trying to move your way through your whole insurance policy and being able to use it to the fullest. So the second key is knowing your network. So knowing your network. What is a network? You guys know?
For health insurance?
Yeah.
I think it's who you can go to that you don't have to mess around with billing. That's what I can.
Yeah.
They take care of it.
Yep, that's exactly right. It's the your health insurance company has contracted with certain healthcare providers that are under that network, and so when you use those providers, there is no issue with billing like you're talking about. And so if you use somebody who is outside of your network, you can do that. That's no problem. But sometimes what will happen is that there may be additional costs to that, or they may not cover nearly as much as they would as if you use somebody in your network. There's also something that's called a preferred provider or a non-preferred provider, which is something that you can also get lists of those from your health insurance, so that you have an idea about. And again, of course, the preferred providers are going to be covered more. Higher amounts are going to be paid on those bills compared to the non-preferred providers. And so that's something that's easy to find out, just to make sure that you are indeed using that. Now, the other thing to keep in mind with working in a network or choosing your health insurance is that if you are a traveler, and we have lots of snowbirds in North Dakota, and so it would behoove you to also check with your health insurance, or as you're choosing that, to see how that health insurance is going to travel with you. Look at the places that you normally go, or if you're going south, how will that work when you're in a different location, and how will that health insurance travel with you? Some travel better than others, and so that could be one reason or one way that you might use that information to actually choose your health insurance or perhaps change it. Another thing that happens within networks is that sometimes if you're wanting to see a specialist, some health insurances require that you see a primary care provider first. For example, your family doctor or maybe an internist, seeing them first, and then they can do a formal referral to a specialist. In some cases, if you don't do that, you may pay a higher copay or coinsurance. And then, of course, also if that specialist is in the network versus out of the network will also make a difference too. So that can help you in finding the right specialist for you that will fit into your health insurance plan. So we've talked about the definitions, and now we've talked about knowing your network and how to use and working within that network. Next time we're together, we're going to talk about the third key, which is knowing your costs. And so we're going to go back through some of those premium, deductibles, copays, those kinds of things, and kind of walk through all those other pieces when it comes to health insurance.
One thing when you were talking to about networks and preferred providers, in my previous life, I worked for a company, and it was a healthcare company, and they offered their insurance through their healthcare. that they provided, and not a lot of folks within the area actually were underneath the preferred provider.
Yeah.
So with special permission written right to your insurance company, you could see then folks that were then out of your network or not preferred providers. So it just takes a little extra work.
Right, but you
can
have to
certainly
ask those questions.
Absolutely, yeah.
And especially, if you're changing jobs, just like you're saying, sometimes your employer will have a certain insurance that they offer, and so if you want to continue seeing the same doctors, those are really good questions to ask before you just sign on to the new insurance.
Exactly.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to talk about is I've been watching the weather, and they've been talking about that word frost.
Yeah.
And I know we have lots of gardeners out there who are trying to maybe protect some of their hard work that's out there. And so usually the first frost we get is a light one. And I think we've already kind of gotten some of that, but I don't know how bad this frost is going to be. But of course, we need to keep in mind that cold air sinks. And so if gardens are in low spots, those are also going to be frost pockets that are, which makes them most vulnerable to damage from early frosts. If you have gardens or flowers that are closer to the house, they're going to have a little bit more of a warmth buffer from that building. If we do have a frost warning coming out, you probably should cover those most sensitive plants, things like tomatoes and peppers, cucumbers, squash, melons, because those are going to be affected most by those freezing temperatures. Things like broccoli, cabbage, carrots, and radish can tolerate light frosts and do not require protection. The cool temperatures of fall will actually improve the flavor of these vegetables because it helps to be, especially carrots. We think about it starts to help change the carbohydrates within those carrots to sugars with that freezing process, and so it makes them a nice sweeter carrot. So usually we don't want to dig carrots until we do actually have some light frost. Similar to like apples, so we kind of wait for a light frost with apples too because it makes them sweeter too. Frost may kill potato vines, but their underground tubers will still be safe, so that's not an issue. About flowers, some of the most sensitive flowers are going to be things like impatiens, zinnias, geraniums, and coleus. And so if you want to cover those and keep them a little bit longer, you would want to do that. Some of the most tolerant flowers are going to be petunias, marigolds, cosmos, and also pansies. And so you might not have to worry as much about them. And then again, if they are around the house, you have a little bit protection. But if you have a low area in your yard, they will be more susceptible. Other questions we get sometimes too with when we do have a killing frost, and if it's expected, you do want to probably harvest the vegetables that you can, especially those that are more susceptible. So things like peppers and tomatoes, it's a good idea to actually pick them and bring them inside and let them tomatoes, for example, will easily ripen inside off the vine. You don't want to ever use a tomato that's being picked off a dead vine, a frost-killed vine, because that is an issue that you don't want to eat them. So it's important it's important to pick them ahead of time. And then apples, if you have a great apple tree, they can tolerate temperatures down to 25 degrees before really suffering any damage. And again, we do want them to freeze a little bit, get a little bit of touch of frost to sweeten them up really nice. If you are interested speaking of apples, if you have lots of apples and you would like some information about how to freeze them or can them, we do have lots of information at the Extension office or on our website. If you are going to do some freezing, which is kind of a nice way to preserve those, especially if you want to use them in things like apple crisps or
Yum.
other yummy. Yeah.
I'm going to get hungry. Here's the part where Vanessa makes us hungry.
Oh, I know. Can everybody envision what your house smells like when you're making apple crisp? Oh, that smells so good. Yeah, but freezing is a great way to preserve them. And if you have a special recipe like apple crisp, slicing them. And adding, if you want to add to them a little bit of ascorbic acid, something to keep them from browning, a little bit of a little bit of water, or if you want to put a really light syrup on them, so a little bit of sugar and water, that will also help to keep them from browning. And then package them up into packages with the amounts that you normally would use in whatever recipes that you're liking. Some other great things you can make with apples is apple butter. Apple sauce is another great one if you have bunches of apples around, and canning them. So you can also get those recipes and those times and temperatures that you need in order to can them safely, so that you can put them up and have them. Oh, it's always great to open up a nice can of a homemade applesauce in the middle of the winter.
Mm-hmm. We have to find some place that's going to have apple crisp for dessert for dinner today.
I know.
I'm like, I'm just craving it now.
Oh, it's all I want now.
Other things to be thinking about, too, this time of the year is there's lots of fall fruits and vegetables that are in high amounts, and so that best quality and also the best price is this time of the year. So apples, of course, Asian pears and broccoli, cauliflower, cranberries, pomegranates, of course, are starting to come out, so watch for those. Pumpkins and all types of squash. This is going to be the best time of the year to buy them. Sweet potatoes, winter squash, grapes, key limes, kohlrabi, pears and pineapples, mushrooms. All those things are going to be in high quality and also a great price. So look for those in farmers markets and then also in our local grocery stores. And I'm going to end with, I have a great recipe for a pumpkin pie dip. It's really easy. It's a great snack. It's a package of cream cheese mixed together with a 3/4 cup amount of canned pumpkin, unsweetened, 3 tablespoons of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie mix. And so you mix that together, and then you can serve it with apple slices or graham crackers, or it's one of those things. So it's a great healthy snack for you or for anybody. And so with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the Extension Connection.
Currently, it's 43.
Dave Ramsey is heard here. Super Talk 1270.
And we're back with the Extension Connection. Again, this is the Morton County Extension Office, and if you have any questions for us, you can always call us at the office at 667-3340 or check our website or Facebook page. Now, I do have some little
some jokes.
I had the gal saw that I had it, and I just ran out of time. So
have to share them.
So I have to share them. So we talked about apples, Okay, so the first one's about an apple. So how do you make an apple turnover?
No idea.
I don't know. Tell them a joke.
Push it down a hill.
Okay.
And here's my last one is about pumpkins, because we talked about pumpkins also. So how do you fix a broken jack-o'-lantern?
Ooh.
Fix a broken jack-o'-lantern.
I don't know.
With a pumpkin patch.
Oh, play on words.
Everybody,
That's good.
now you all have 2 new jokes that you can wow your coffee clutch. You can wow your kids when they come home from school. You will be a rock star, let me tell you. Mm-hmm. Yep, and you heard it here first.
In the season.
Yes, and you heard it here first. There you go. So while you're having that pumpkin dip, you can just interject, how do you fix up jack-o'-lantern?
What a party.
Yeah, there
Jokes,
you go.
dip.
My nephew will just shake his head. Be like, Carla, need a life.
Well, you have to pick your audiences.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, my niece, age 11 might be a little bit better than 14. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Well, they're at that age where they'll go ha ha ha, but then they'll retell it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Big time.
Yeah, if they remember.
So
okay,
we should have a drum roll. Yes.
Yay. Okay.
Yes. This is 4-H week. So
Yes.
Miss Carla, do you have anything to tell us about 4-H week?
It's been a really exciting week. We started off National 4-H Week on Sunday, and we held archery up at the Travis Hilfner Memorial Archery Range. We had a nice turnout, kind of a different day. We couldn't decide if it was going to rain or be blowy or be cold or warm. So it turned into a decent day, and we had a lot of fun. On Monday, we had an open house up at the courthouse, and that could have turned into a different situation too, because we, of course, lost power because of the storm that came through. But the folks that did show up and the youth that were there, we had a really good time. Liz
I
helped
had a
out.
blast.
Yeah.
It was fun.
The kids, aren't they fun to work
They
with?
were
Oh,
fun.
my gosh.
And a fun project you did, too.
Yeah, the rocket ships.
Yep.
Those kids were really into it.
Yeah. The county commissioner's room will never be the same. Anyway,
They were very
launched rockets
concerned that they
all
might hit a wall and make a dent, and I
Yep.
had to assure them it was just paper.
Yeah.
We're good. Yep.
The rockets are
styrofoam.
just paper.
Yeah.
We'll
We're
good,
be all
we're
right.
good.
Tuesday was kind of just a little get ready for Wednesday day, and then today, of course, we're talking about National 4-H Week on the radio. I'll be out and about this afternoon spreading what I call 4-H cheer, and just recognizing some of the folks that do good things with 4-H, and we're excited about that. And tomorrow, kind of much more of the same. Today is National Youth Science Day, and usually I'm out in schools, and those actually will be done the end of this month in October, where we will learn all about drones. And so as part of National Youth Science Day, I just couldn't fit it in for the day. But National Youth Science Day is, again, it's a national event, and where kids from across the country test their technology and engineering skills. And I know we have done the drone event, and pretty fun, and different things the kids can learn all about lift and gravity and everything, and a lot of fun. So I got to do that experiment here with the 4-H Club a couple weeks ago.
Well, and it's good for folks to know, too, that if they have a 4-H club or another youth group that wants to learn about drones, we can sure share information.
Yep, absolutely.
Any time of the year. It's the whole year.
Yeah, it's all about learning all the time. So it's all good. But what I thought I'd do today, and also, I guess, to conclude the week, on Friday we have our annual Morton County 4-H Recognition Night. A very big deal for 4-H in Morton County. For Vanessa, myself, and Jackie, who work more closely with the 4-H program, and Liz is more than welcome to join us as well. She's learning a little bit more about how 4-H works.
Yes, I'm the newbie.
There you
I don't know, so it's exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we'll recognize all the 4-H leaders in Morton County. We will recognize some of our folks that give a lot to 4-H or have contributed a lot of time and their talent. They have all been notified, so I will let the cat out of the bag and let everybody know. We will be recognizing Lane Mutter as one of our 4-H alumni. And Lane has done a lot with 4-H within Morton County, and not just Morton County, but you'll see him traveling all over the place. He's judged a lot of county achievement days, including the North Dakota State Fair too. So he's offered a lot of assistance to kids regarding their photography projects, and really brought photography is one of probably the more popular projects that we have here in Morton County.
And he's always volunteering to go to club meetings to help kids learn a little bit more about being a good photographer. And
He's fantastic. So.
very willing to help.
Yep. And he's always at the end, too, of a phone when I go out to judge and I'm like questioning something that I need to, when I judge photography projects, because somebody thinks I might be good at that. And I've been to a few county achievement days and had to judge that. And I will text him and say, can you do this? And he's quick right away to answer me. So it's just wonderful to have him. And then our other person we're going to recognize with the 4-H Alumni Award is Sarah Gustin. And I know she's married, but she will always be Sarah Gustin to us. And,
In the books.
yeah, and she's done a lot with the 4-H program, not only as a 4-H member within the county when she was younger, but now, through the television when she worked with KX News, of course, and then also she does the radio that she works with, and just recognizing 4-H and the importance of 4-H within our community, and the insight that she gives on that, and that's wonderful. So, and then we have a couple other folks or businesses that we're going to recognize. Nextera Energy, who has done a lot for Morton County as far as educational resources, and then the Apathy Original Motorcycle Club, will be recognizing them as well. So those are some of our big recognitions. Of course, we'll recognize the leaders and all the kids in the county as well through the 4-H program. So very exciting week, just all kinds of stuff going on.
Yes.
And so just a little bit, too, about 4-H Week. It was actually established, the first original 4-H Week, they called it Club Week, was started in Minnesota by Governor Christensen, and that was back in 1926. So we
Liz, go Minnesota.
Yeah.
there you go. We celebrated 4-H Week. It's been a long-standing tradition. At one point during World War II, in the years around World War II, it was called National 4-H Mobilization Week. and it encouraged 4-H members to produce foods needed by rural men and women in the armed services, and enlist as many young people eligible for membership as possible in all rural areas, particularly those living on farms. In some phases of the 4-H Club War Program, to report on 4-H Club work, which had already been started in terms of how it would contribute to family production and conservation goals, and how it would contribute toward the total amount needed by rural men and women now in the armed services. It really changed over to National 4-H Achievement Week in the mid-40s, and it was to promote 4-H by emphasizing the accomplishments of the year and to recruit new members and leaders and plan for the next year. And of course, our new 4-H year started September 1st, and so really this is a great time to wrap up last year and really look forward to everything that will happen here in 2016-17 for 4-H. It's always observed, or has been since 1968, the first full week of October, so it starts on the first Sunday of October and it concludes on the Saturday. And it really, there's been themes to National 4-H Week. This year it's 4-H True Leaders, and so we're really focusing on the leadership skills that 4-H teaches youth. There's everything from, they're famous stars that have actually promoted our 4-H, and some of them are astronauts James Lovell, Alan Shepard, and Ellison Onizuka. Sports stars Don Meredith, quarterback for Dallas Cowboys, gotta love it. Bart Starr from the Green Bay Packers. Richard Petty with auto racing. He is actually not only a famous auto racer, but he was once a 4-H leader. And his kids were active in 4-H as well, so that's pretty neat. Sugar Ray Leonard, boxing. He helped promote 4-H numerous times through radio and television. Talk about some of the famous entertainers. Of course, Jennifer Nettles is our 4-H spokesperson right now, and so she is out and doing wonderful things for 4-H. We have Bob Hope, Roy Rogers, Tanya Tucker, Jimmy Stewart, Johnny Carson, of course, from Nebraska, did wonderful things with 4-H as well. So just a really exciting
Orville Redenbacher.
Orville Redenbacher, yes.
Wow.
And, I guess more closely to home, and we've talked about her before, but just kind of puts a more local spin on 4-H, is Gwen Sebastian from Hebron, and how she used to participate in Clothing Review and Project Expo and the different things she did. And so just a really great week to celebrate National 4-H Week, and even with a little bit of cold weather.
And just celebrate our youth of North Dakota in general.
Yep. So, and I've been watching social media, and of course we have pictures posted all over with kids wearing green today. So very exciting, because today was kind of our designated Wear Green Day, and then again we'll do some other fun stuff here the rest of the week. So
Get your green on.
You got it.
Yeah, wear your green.
So, Jim is giving us the cue to wrap up, and so with that, I hope everyone has a wonderful National 4-H Week. And if you have any questions about 4-H in your local community, contact your local county extension office. And with that, the Extension Connection with Morton County will be back in 2 weeks.